Down in this corner of the old cemetery, there's a few cast iron railings around around grave sites. So let's get in and have a look at them. This one's in loving memory of Alan Clark, August the 9th, 1902, 76, who passed not long after his good lady wife, Margaret, in April 1901, aged 81. With an age difference for the times, but not unusual. Another grave that would have been quite impressive in its day. It's got the cast iron surrounds with the spear points on the corners. This one's a little bit fractured and been rebuilt, originally for Hedley Nichols, who passed away in 1899 as a 30-year-old, or as they put it, in the 30th year of his age. And then ECA Nichols, 1901, on Christmas Day, as a 68-year-old, and his good lady wife, Charlotte Sophia, who passed away 8 years later in 1909 as a 76-year-old. Yeah. These ones where the lady and the gentleman's hands reach together at the top of the memorial. This one's in loving memory of Jane, who was a 62-year-old in 1898. And then her husband Matthew in 1906. And also Jess, beloved daughter of the above, in 1904 as a 35-year-old. People just didn't last as long in those days. A cross missing from the top of this one by the look of it. But we have the hand and the scroll. And this is in loving memory of Rachel Alday, wife of the Reverend T. Alday. She was 28. Got that smell of childbirth about it, 1895. Simpler piece here. Elijah Hedditch, aged 81, and Sarah Hedditch, who was 89. And there was 13 years between them, 1896 to 1909. Nice simple headstone. Now this one's definitely the pre-antibiotic era. Nice little carving there on the top. So William Dick, 71-year-old in 1917. His wife passed in 1897 as a 51-year-old. But also William, son of the above, 15-year-old in 1903. And then Ellen, daughter of the above, in 1874 as a 2-year-old. United in death, indeed. And you can see the very nice fleur-de-lis cast iron surroundings. Serious cast iron work here, but no headstone and no names. Shame. Another nameless one, but with the same cast iron work. Some fancy work underneath the joints there. A whole other society, really. Because you've got Philip Lionel, who's the son of John and Alice, who was a 20-year-old in 1908. And his brother Henry, husband of Bessie, a 23-year-old in 1909. And then Elizabeth Hartley, aunt of the above, got the 64. And John Hartley Chamberlain, the senator, in 1953. He was interred at Ulverston, but he got the 68. People just carried so much suffering. And speaking of suffering, this one, fortunately, even though it's fallen over, has been placed so we can read it. And it's my dear wife Harriet French, passed away on the 9th of February 1910, aged 76. A life made beautiful by kindly deeds, a heart so generous for others' needs, a presence making sunshine where she trod, Home with the happy resting, now with God. Bit of a forced rhyme at the end there, but it works. It's a nice piece of marble. Now this one's on an angle, but still upright. And it's sacred to the memory of Grace Victoria, dearly loved daughter of A.H. and M.A. Young, who died at Latrobe in 1911, aged 19 years and 7 months. Some serious cast iron work around the gravesite. On the southern side, Adolphus Henry, who was beloved husband of Mary Ann Young, 1902 I believe that says. And on the northern face, Mary Ann, beloved wife of A.H. Young, 1948 as an 84-year-old. That was a good run. Another stone that's fallen. This is for Elizabeth J. Dunn, beloved wife of Walter. She passed away in 1911, age 50. And then Walter hung on until 1946 as an 89-year-old. Hell of a separation. This is one of the later ones with the wrought iron, but it's well kept, and you'll see as we go up to the stone. So this is in loving memory of Margaret Sophia Aitken, wife of Robert Allen. She died in 1914 as a 41-year-old. And then Robert hung on until 1961 as an 86-year-old. It's a long time. There's an awful lot of wives going early in this section. This is Ethel Smith, beloved wife of Joseph. She departed in 1914, aged 33. No sign of Joseph here. Bit more cast iron. And what appears to be a granite block, which is wearing away but still legible. That's Michael L. Habel, 1896 as an 81-year-old, and Mary Ann Miles, daughter of the above. It's a 40-year-old or 49-year-old in 1898. And then Catherine, who was the wife of Michael, I'm imagining, 2nd of May 1911 as an 88-year-old. It's a nice simple piece. It's still standing. Same sort of stone, but with what I assume is a Bible there. To a Louis Abel, who fell asleep in Jesus on December the 21st, 1888. The rest of it's fairly illegible. And quite a high cast iron surrounding here for what's something a little bit more usual for these days. Joseph Lobley passed away in 1888 as a 61-year-old. 2 years later, his wife Sarah as a 66-year-old. And then Thomas Hosford, I imagine he's some relation to Zara perhaps, but he was in 1906 as an 88-year-old. Depending on the quality of the stone and the time it's been up, you get a bit more wear here. This is William Norris, 1892, 72, but then the rest of it becomes a little bit illegible. A little bit unusual with the artificial logs around the headstone here. It's for Arthur Thomas Bartley, 1895, as a 60-year-old, so born in 1835. It's a long time ago. Now a whole series of small cast iron surrounded graves, but with no headstones or markings, but definitely spottable, the surroundings. Now this one's been repieced together. It's had a bit of a fall by the look of it. It's for William Carpenter, who died in 1900, I think, that says, as a 46-year-old. Then his wife, who had passed in 1897 as a 39-year-old. And their daughter on the 15th of June 1897 as a 5-month-old. So what's that? A week before her mother passed. And also Joseph, son of the above, who died at 8 months in what appears to be 1896 or 1886 maybe. Wow. There's a name you don't see often these days. Betsy Tuxworth, beloved wife of John. 1898 as a 63-year-old. Another one back to the 1860s. 1830s rather. 1835 again. Okay. Joseph Albert, dearly beloved husband of Horizontal S. Wilmot, born 1889, died in 1860. And then Horizontal herself, 1892 to 67. And Dolly, May and Joseph, beloved children of the above, must have been twins, who passed away aged 3 months. Another one of the husband and wife motifs. Unfortunately, only the husband's here. And the rest of the stones up there. One Charles Forrester, 1890, as a 36-year-old. I'm not real sure of the rest of the words there, they're difficult to see at this stage. So we have what appears to be the top of the monument sitting there in front of it. There's the rest of it, quite an impressive piece of stonework. Zoom in, we can see that's in loving memory of our beloved mother, Mary Margaret, who fell asleep on the 1st of July 1890 as a 47-year-old. And the husband, the beloved father of the kids I guess, Philip James Marchant, 7th of August 1910. 20 years without her, so he would have been 43 when she bundied off. She was 47. This is another one of those painful child ones. Nice dove there though, holding olive leaves I guess, as a sign of peace. Elizabeth Laura, infant daughter of George and Emily Banfield, fell asleep in Jesus the 12th of January 1890, aged 3 months. Ah dear. Ida Agnes Gower, 12th of December 1919, aged 12. After having lived through the First World War, and her parents as well obviously, to then lose her 12-year-old not long after it was over. Another granite headstone, I believe. Herbert Gregg, youngest son of Michael and Mary Bloomhall, October 13, 1895 as a 5-year-old. A granite piece and another painful one. Ernest J. Broomhall, died December 12, 1894, aged 18. Obviously some connection to Herbert next door. And in with Mum. You can tell it's later because of the shield shape, which started coming in the 20s from what I've seen. This is Isabel, who was the wife of Richard Blumenthal. December 25, Christmas Day, 1926. It's a 77-year-old. Well, we do appear to be on a bit of an unpleasant run here at this part of the cemetery. Edward Ramsay, December the 5th, 1893, is aged 7 years and 6 months. And then Clifford Ramsay, born the 31st of July, 1887, then left on August the 13th, 1901. Oh golly, people carried some weight. And some impressive cast iron work, but unfortunately everything has worn away on the stone. Some seriously heavy duty cast iron work, very impressive. Same stone I'm calling granite, but I may well be wrong. This is for Jonathan Graham, 1905, as a 75-year-old, and Hannah, wife of the above, December the 23rd, 1906, aged 83. Again, some interesting cast iron work. This is a headstone to restore your faith in the healthiness of humanity. David Robertson, 1906, is a 93-year-old, and Margaret, in 1903, is a 90-year-old. People still made it. Bit of a variation on a theme here with a hand lifting the veil. That's for Alexander Robertson, 1907, as a 73-year-old. That was in January, and then his wife left in May 1907 as a 64-year-old. More interesting cast iron work, and this is to the loving memory of Kenneth Henry, youngest son of F.L. and W.H. Keane. Died August 29, 1906, as a 5-year-old. Other male and female hand clasp, and probably a cross missing from the top. This is in memory of Joseph Rawson, 1905, as a 68-year-old, and his good lady wife in 1932 as an 86-year-old. And then rather a long quote from Hebrews 10, 11 to 29. Let you look that up if you're interested. And that's where we'll call an end to this trip round the Latrobe General Cemetery. There are others born in the 20s, I've buried in the 20s, 30s and 40s. But it's the earlier ones I really like that show much about the early times in the town.